Coming up on City Scene, we've got a flood of changes coming because of changes to the floodplain. We'll explain. Buffer strips are helping protect the Big Sioux, and then we go on call with some new Sioux Falls Fire Rescue recruits. Welcome to City Scene, right here on CityLink, where each month we go all around the departments in the city of Sioux Falls. And today we start with a flood of changes coming. If you've driven along the meadows on the river area, you might have noticed some dirt moving around and some changes being prepared. Well, that's because of the floodplain and changes being made to it that will allow for construction. Jeff Schmidt explains.
I'm Jeffrey Schmidt with the City of Sioux Falls Planning and Building Services Department. I'm the city's floodplain administrator, and what I'd like to kind of talk about today is the city's floodplain. We call it floodplain management. As we get into this, one of the things I'd like to start off with is there is a history in the city of Sioux Falls with floodplain management. We've had this management program in the city of Sioux Falls since 1979. A lot of people really think about it since we've really started looking at the levee system back in 2008, 2009. But actually it's gone back before that. So back in 2008 and 2009, we really updated where we're at with floodplain management. And now here we are again in the year 2016 going into 2017 and updating where we're at with floodplain management. Let me explain to you a little bit about the risk within the floodplain. The floodplain maps are put out by FEMA and they show a risk for people and their properties. Now this may be a little bit different than if you live in an area that's not being shown as a floodplain risk, but that you have large rainfall events. So there's kind of two different risks. You can be in some of these areas and go, okay, so I never have a risk because I'm not on these maps. That's not the same as having a large rainfall event, or vice versa. But what we're really talking about today is the risk of these maps, or with these maps where they show here's the risk of a 1% annual chance. And what they always kind of say is, you know what, one time a year, but it's a 1% annual chance. And it could happen every month from that standpoint. So it gets a little bit confusing, but really what we're trying to do is explain to you your risk of your structure or your property flooding. There's 27 different panel maps for the city of Sioux Falls. Now these different panel maps are little sections of the city of Sioux Falls, so you don't have to just say, show me the map of the city of Sioux Falls. But we'll show you the different maps and show you what your risk is. Sometimes there is no risk, and then at that point we can explain that to you. If you're one of these properties that has a risk, now we are updating those panel maps. There are approximately 17 or 18 panel maps that are behind the Big Sioux River, around the Big Sioux River that goes through Sioux Falls and Skunk Creek. And those 16 or 17 panel maps that we updated really back in 2008, 2009 with the construction of the levee system. So if you can think about that and the Big Sioux River project, that's the majority of people in Sioux Falls that are impacted positively or negatively with the Big Sioux River. When we're behind these areas that the city of Sioux Falls has made the improvements to the levees, those specific areas that people have questions about, and again, the people really have the most questions about, like meadows in the river, the Empire Mall area, 41st and Louise. If there's areas there that people are looking at doing construction or people are just have an interest in, the appeals are done, the preliminary maps are completed, and City Council has already made real decisions on those areas. So those areas can start construction now. As of today, when you're watching these videos, they can come in and start their projects today because those things have happened. So that's a real big step forward for the city of Sioux Falls. We've made determinations here recently to have projects being able to move forward. So, in summary, feel free to call us and ask about this stuff, but checking them off, 3 things that you can do. Anytime that your property or your structure is in a floodplain, you need a floodplain development permit from the city of Sioux Falls if you're going to do reconstruction, an addition, or remodel, or improvements to your property. Because at that point, we will help you, you help yourself reduce that risk to your property so you're not exasperating, making the problem worse with your property. Secondly, This is where we receive the most phone calls. Do you have to have floodplain insurance? We don't make that determination, and really honestly, you don't make that determination. Anybody can have floodplain insurance. It's what it costs you. If you're not in a floodplain, it doesn't cost you hardly anything. The premiums are low. And if you have a great risk, your premiums are higher. In the end, the banks, the lending agencies, the financial institutions have the final authority on whether or not you have to have floodplain insurance, because if you have a federally insured mortgage, they make that determination. And lastly, of the three things that we're bringing up today, in summary, if you're a contractor, a builder, an architect, or an engineer, if you're looking to do development or construction in an area, please bring those plans into us as soon as possible. We'll review them against the preliminary maps, and we'd like to, again, as I've stated in 1 and 2, help you as quickly as possible, address any of these issues, or just answer general questions. So, the floodplain management has a lot of items out there. There's a lot of moving parts, but please feel free to give us a call. The planning office is at 367-8888. You can email us at floodplain@siouxfalls.org, or always feel free to go to siouxfalls.org for more information.
Thanks, Jeff. Now, in other parts of Sioux Falls, you may be noticing some extra green spaces or grasses. Those are buffer strips that are being put in to help protect the water in our area.
Today we're at Legacy Park, and the reason we're here is to talk about our buffer strip initiative. What a buffer strip is, it's basically an area that's along what this is Skunk Creek or along the Big Sioux River that buffers stormwater between where it runs off in the river. So a lot of these areas, they could be 10-foot wide, they could be 100-foot wide, but it's areas of either native grass or areas that we're not mowing that allow the stormwater to basically be treated or buffered before it gets into the Big Sioux River or Skunk Creek. Part of the reason we started this program, we've been doing a lot of work out in the watershed, in the agricultural areas up north of the city of Sioux Falls, and looking at farmers and ranchers and helping them install these type of buffers up there. And we were really seeing great progress with what was going on up there. So we decided basically to take that and bring it into the city of Sioux Falls because we know we're a major source of the pollution that enters the river as well. So we've taken basically that idea, and now we're doing it in the urban environment and in many of our parks in the city. We've just started this program. Like I said, we're out here in Legacy Park, and we actually have a great stand of native grass and natural grasses out here. But we're looking at other areas throughout the city and other parks throughout the city where we can actually expand the program. I think some of them that we mentioned, Cherry Rock Park and Paisley Park and Nelson Park. So you're going to see some of these areas soon where these grasses are going to start to grow, some of these no-mow areas. And we'll continue to look for more areas along maybe the bike trail or the Big Sioux River or Skunk Creek that we can implement some of these projects. This should improve the water quality of the river by filtering some of the storm water that enters the river from the city. So that not only improves the recreational benefits of the river, it improves the use of the river. We use the river for drinking water, so it'll be cleaner water coming in for drinking water. Recreationally, it's great. There's also other aesthetics. It improves wildlife. It's better for air quality. So there's lots of benefits of adding these type of systems in our city. We've put a lot of information on the City of Sioux Falls website at siouxfallsorg.green. We're also installing a lot of educational signage throughout our parks where you can learn about some of these as you're just walking down the bike trail.
Now let's go from keeping the water safe to protecting our families in Sioux Falls from fire. Sioux Falls Fire Rescue is bringing in some new recruits, and we see what their training is all about.
Hi, I'm Battalion Chief Mike Clausen. I'm with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, and I'm here today with Cadet Van Donkersgood. Al is one of 4 cadets in the academy, and we have just began week 6. Al, welcome to the organization. I wanted to ask you a couple questions, if I may.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about your background. What did you do prior to this, to joining Sioux Falls Fire Rescue?
Prior to Sioux Falls Fire and Rescue, I was a teacher over at Sioux Falls Christian. We moved to the United States about 12 years ago, and I've been teaching there for about 12 years.
Good. What made you want to join our organization?
Two jobs that were always on my heart. One was to be a teacher and the other one was to be a firefighter. A couple of years ago, Hard Dirksen, a firefighter here at Sioux Falls Fire and Rescue, gave a chapel at our school. And after listening to him, that kind of put a bug in my heart again. I thought I'd really like to give it another shot, try to become a firefighter.
Good. We do have a very good organization, and we want to welcome you to our organization. And then I'll ask you the third question here. What do you hope to take away from the Fire Academy?
I hope to be well trained, and so far it's been amazing. I mean, it's been a lot of hard work, but there's so many things that I didn't know, and so I hope to be well trained and able to serve our community.
Good, good. Well, thank you very much. This is Cadet Weisenberger. He's previously worked for a fire organization out of Watertown, and great to have him. Very fortunate that he has some experience. And Zach, welcome.
Thank you, sir.
What made you want to join our organization?
It's just a great organization, a great job. I wanted to come down here because of family. My wife is from here originally, so.
Okay. Well, I had mentioned earlier that Zach had worked for Watertown Fire, and I just wanted to say, how long did you work for Watertown Fire?
Year and a half, sir.
Year and a half. So you have some fire experience, which is good. We have a lot of cadets that join our organization that bring top talent from the fire service, EMS, public safety sector. What do you hope to get out of this Fire Academy in your 10-week experience?
The best training I possibly can. It's a learning job. You're always learning, and this is one of the best academies that I know of, and I'm very, very pleased and lucky to be here.
Good. Thank you, Zach. We have 2 additional fire cadets in our academy. The academy runs for 10 weeks. The cadets will be hitting the floor October 1st. It's a very intensive academy, and we hope that they will be a great addition to our organization.
Coming up, it's time to make a big splash with the opening of the Mako Aquatic Center.
Would you drive at 60 miles per hour the length of a football field while blindfolded? Have you driven at 60 miles per hour and checked a text message?
If you said yes to the second question, then you're guilty of the first question too. By taking just a few moments to look at your phone to see who's calling while traveling 60 miles an hour, you will cover more than 100 yards while looking at your phone.
Save a life.
Save it for later.
Brought to you by the City of Sioux Falls.
Hi, I'm Dr. Banworth with Falls Community Health. At the beginning of this school year, I just wanted to remind all parents and students of the importance of updating those vaccines. South Dakota law actually requires that all students have updated immunizations prior to entry into school. Vaccines help to protect us against potentially life-threatening infections that are spread from person to person. These include meningitis, pneumonia, chickenpox, influenza, and many more harmful diseases. Contact your primary care physician to learn more about the vaccines required for school and get your child immunized against potentially life-threatening diseases.
Welcome back. Well, it is time to dive in to Sioux Falls' newest pool. The Mako Aquatic Center has set its opening day and hours.
We are really excited about being able to announce the dates for our ribbon cutting celebration and our public open house. On Wednesday, October 12th at 5:30 p.m. we will have our ceremonial ribbon cutting and open house to let people through the facility. That'll consist of our typical ribbon cutting ceremony, but it will also give everybody an opportunity to walk through the facility to really see what the Mako Aquatic Center is all about. We're not going to swim on that particular day, but we are going to swim the very next morning. And so at 5:30 a.m. that very next day on October 13th, we will allow people to jump into the pool and really enjoy this brand new facility. The other thing I wanted to share with you a little bit is the hours of operations that we wanted to announce for our Mako Aquatic Center. Monday through Friday, our standard hours will be 5:30 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Saturdays, we'll switch to go from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. and then on Sunday, we'll be open from noon to 5. And so during those times, at any time throughout the course of the day, you can come to the facility and there will be time available for you to use the facility. It's not going to be locked up for any one particular purpose. There will always be public time available. So again, we're very excited about it. We think the community is going to really enjoy this facility, and it's a need that's been there for a very long time, and we're finally excited about being able to realize the dream of having our first indoor aquatic center.
And as the Mako Aquatic Center gets ready to open its doors, of course, schools all across Sioux Falls have been opening theirs to a new school year. But that means increased traffic both on our streets and in the sidewalks and other areas. That's what you need to be looking out for when you're on the road. Shannon, give us some tips.
Well, it's September, and you know what that means? Back to school. We here at the city want to do everything that we can to keep your students and our children safe. We welcome to the show Heath Hofteaser, who's our city principal traffic engineer. Heath, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Can you give us some brief tips for people that are bringing their children to the school for the first time, as far when they're driving?
This goes for everybody in the entire city too. The first thing to remember as we're starting the schools, and it's as you're approaching the schools, keep an eye out for the school zones, the signage that lets you know that you're approaching a school zone, and then that when you're in the school zone and there's children present, that you need to be driving 15 miles an hour through it. It's around all the schools, there's signage, and people just really need to keep an eye out for that and remember to look out for the children. And then one of the things that we always try to stress to the public, especially parents dropping kids off, is they're really good about bringing their kids to school, but even after you drop your kid off and you're leaving, you still have to be cautious and look out for the other children that are on their way to school. So until you're actually out of the school zone, you want to be driving slow around the schools and around the children.
Sure. So as a parent myself, when you're dropping off your child, how does a parent know where to drop their child off to get to the school? I mean, do they drop them off on the street and let them walk, or how does that work?
It's all schools are unique in how they're built and the parking lots and drop-off lanes. And so one of the best things is, if you're unsure, to have a conversation with your principal at the school, because all the different schools will function different for if they have drop-off along the street, or some of them will have drop-off lanes that go into the parking lots.
Okay.
And the best bet is to work with the principal on because what they try to do is come up with a plan for everybody overall to make it the smoothest process for everybody. And it's a lot of times it's the people that come up with their own plan and drop someone off in a spot that maybe they're not supposed to, or let somebody cross the road in a different spot, that causes some of the safety issues we see around schools.
Okay. Well, and also whenever I'm driving near my school, I have along with the 15-mile-per-hour speed limit signs, there's often signs too that actually show you what your speed is. And I know when I'm driving, sometimes you go a little faster than what you actually think you are. So those variable message signs, are those something that the city really is going to do more of?
Yep, that's something so far we've looked in school zones. We've looked at spots where we've had particular problems with people speeding through crosswalks where children cross the street. We have made a point of getting those signs out to let people know how fast you are driving, and it's a feedback awareness to the public, so you know how fast you're driving. If you drive them when the school's not in session, you'll notice that it'll take your speed up to the speed limit, and it'll show it as being acceptable, and then it'll start flashing and then tell you to slow down if you're driving excessively fast. And then when there's the times when kids would be walking to or leaving school, it's set up so that if you get much above 15 miles an hour, it's going to flash at you and tell you to slow down.
Sure. So when there's students that are there and it's 15 miles per hour, of course, we'll have a law enforcement that'll be out making sure that everybody's driving the speed limits. Any helpful tips you want to give us drivers?
I think the best thing is to be looking for the school zones, and just remember to slow down. And there's a lot of spots where we have crosswalks where students cross a road that's across an arterial in some spots that people might not even think about it being a school zone, but they are. And if you see kids, you need to be considerate and slow down for them.
All right. Well, one last question regarding traffic signals. I know that you'll see a lot of push buttons for students to push. So will those walk lights come on automatically, or do they have to push those push buttons at each time they cross?
If you are at a signal location and there's buttons present, you usually have to push the buttons for the signals to work. So that's a good tip for everybody when you're out on a walk at night, or you're a student walking to school, or you're walking a kid to school. Remember to push the push buttons if they're there so that you can get the signal to change.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for your time today. Sioux Falls, drive safe in the next month. We'll be back next month with the street construction wrap up. Stay tuned.
And of course, with school back in session, kids will soon be showing off those pearly whites in their school pictures. I have a few I might regret, but keeping those pearly whites looking good will be the focus of a clinic in schools brought to you by Falls Community Health.
Thanks for joining us. We're very excited to have a new dentist with us here at Falls Community Health, Dr. Gina Geffrey. We're glad to have you, a brand new dentist to us here. Thanks for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I grew up in Pierce, South Dakota. I went to my undergrad training in Spearfish, Black Hills State University, and then I attended dental school in Arizona at the Arizona School of Dentistry and Oral Health, and then I started here beginning of July.
So what are you looking forward to most about working at Falls Community Health?
I'm really looking forward to making a difference in the community, growing as a provider. Community health has always been something very important to me. We're a very busy clinic down here. We have a full schedule of patients. We also see exams on the side. And every day we see 10 to 12 emergency patients. So each and every day is very busy, and it really feels like you're making a difference.
That's good. Tell us a little bit about the emergencies. We do work people in the morning. Tell us a little bit about that process, how that works for us down here.
Correct. So if you're having emergent tooth pain, you can come in, you get a number, 1 through 10 or 12, and then give your information, and then we'll work you into our schedule and see what your emergent issues is, whether it's an abscess, toothache, broken tooth, something like that, and we work in and get you seen each and every day.
Okay. And so those emergencies, we like to have them here by 7:30 in the morning to get them worked in, and sometimes it takes a little while, but we will do our very best to get them in.
Correct.
Okay, and so you'll also be working at our, along with our main site here, you'll also be working at our Hayward Elementary site, which we've extended hours a little bit. But talk to us a little bit about the Hayward Elementary site and what that kind of means to Falls Community Health.
All right, so there is the main downtown clinic, and then we also have the different elementary sites. Hayward has 2 medical exam rooms there, and then 2 dental operatories, one that a hygienist works out of and one that the dentist works out of. We have increased our hours from Monday through Thursday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., and then Friday, 8 a.m. to 1. So we're really looking forward to increasing our care out there and becoming more of a continuity of care to our patients out there.
Okay. And so it's connected to the elementary school, but that doesn't mean we just serve the elementary kids there. We also serve the rest of the community out there.
Correct. We see the students at the school and welcome their parents to come in, as well as the community all out in that area. If a patient comes down to the main clinic, but it's more convenient for them to go be seen out there, we recommend that they would go out there as well.
It's on the west side of town, and so maybe that is closer to where people live. Looks like our clinic is part of the school, but we do have a separate entrance, correct?
Right, yep, it is a separate part, so.
Okay, and sliding fee scale, our dental clinic goes on a sliding fee scale, and so based on family size and income, what is our minimum fee to be seen at the dental clinic?
So each individual is very different, and like we said, we do accept insurance, we accept Medicaid, and then depending on house size and income, they will adjust the sliding fee accordingly.
Okay.
So if there are any financial questions, of course, can ask at the front to get that squared away ahead of time.
Okay, yeah, so we're looking for a lot more people to come out to Hayward. So if they have questions about either our Hayward site, any of our other school-based sites, or our main site here, what number can people call?
Yep, they'll just call the main downtown clinic at 367-8022.
All right, well, again, welcome aboard. We're super glad to have you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Finally today, if you're trying to cut your teeth on technology and finding it can be a little bit challenging, well, Siouxland Libraries is here to help out because they're having a digital device event that could help you figure out your iPad, iPod, and all those other iTechnologies. Dan?
Welcome back to the library, everybody. I'm Dan Neves, and today I'm at the Downtown Library with librarian Kim Koblank. Welcome.
Thank you.
It's been a while.
It has been.
We're here today mainly to talk about our digital services. One, because there's been a bit of changes lately. Our customers are starting to get familiar with some of these changes, and just to help promote those things and help us remember some of the services we've had for quite a while, we're doing free advice for your device. Can you tell me a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, we're having these sessions at a couple different branches. Coming up in September, we have Oakview and Ronning that have a couple of dates, September 8th and September 28th. And what it is it's basically just a time we've set aside where staff is there waiting for you to come in and to ask about what services will work for your device specifically. So if you have a tablet or smartphone or a Kindle Fire, you can bring it in. We want you to have it set up and have all your passwords with you so that we can get everything downloaded and show you how to use it. And of course, you'll need to bring your library card because you can use all these services for free, but you just have to have a library card in order to access them.
Sure. And if I don't have a library card, just stop in early, get one.
Yeah, because September is also National Library Card Sign-Up Month, so that'd be a good time to get a card. We are also giving away a Kindle Fire with these sessions. If you come to the session and ask about the services, you can be put in for a drawing, and we'll be giving away a Kindle Fire at the end of the month. There are a couple of branches that are just they're not doing the sessions, but they're doing, if you come to our desk and ask us about our downloadables, we'll enter you to win one of the devices. So Downtown Library and Prairie West are the two city locations that are doing that, and then a lot of our rural locations are doing that as well.
Sure. So Oakview and Ronning have some scheduled times, so check our website for those. Downtown and Prairie West, just stop in anytime during the month of September and say, hey, I want to know about your digital services. Bring your devices. That's pretty cool. So we can do some hands-on training.
Yep.
And then let us know that you want to be signed up for that Kindle Fire.
Yeah.
What are we drawing for that?
We're going to be drawing just at the end of the month. So we'll gather all of the slips from all the locations and do one big drawing for the, and so probably would be the first week of October.
Okay. Okay. What can I ask? If I want to come in and I have everything ready, I've got my library card, I've got my device, it's fully charged, I've got my passwords, what can I ask about?
Well, we have 5 different downloadable services that you can use, and so we will usually just give you like our little downloadable cheat sheet, like these are the things that we offer, these are the kinds of materials you can check out when you use this service. So like Cloud Library has ebooks and e-audiobooks. One Click Digital has just e-audiobooks. Zinio has digital magazines, and then Hoopla has movies, television, music, comics, ebooks, and e-audiobooks. And they all have different lending periods, but we have a nice little guide that shows you how long you get each kind of material. And then we also have Tumble Books, which you would be able to just use on a web browser.
Okay. And that's mainly for children and
yes.
and all that too. So good. Yeah, Hoopla, man, that has everything.
Yeah.
That'll pretty much walk your dog for you.
Yeah, that one's probably one of my favorites because you can do so many different things with it. And we just added the e-audiobooks to it earlier this year, and people love it. It's just really taken off with that added service. Cloud Library is actually formerly known as 3M Cloud Library. They're actually going to have a change in their look coming up. So that's another reason that we're doing these sessions and these little come in and talk to us, because the logo is changing with the change in ownership. And so we just want people to know your device is going to, or your app is still going to work. It's just going to look a little different when you initially go into it.
So we'll have some bookmarks out, and so folks can see, here's what it was, the app, here's what the app looked like, here's what it's now going to look like.
Right.
But the use is going to stay the same. The ease of use is going to stay the same.
Yep.
And nothing on our end is going to change as far as titles or anything like that.
Nope, everything will stay the same. It's just changing its name a little bit and then the look of the icon.
All right. So if you have any questions about any of that, whether it be about Clyde Libraries changes or any of our digital services, stop by Siouxland Libraries locations, Prairie West and downtown through the month of September, folks. Anytime to stop in. We're all willing to help you. And then Oakview and Ronning have some sessions that you can sign up for on our website. So visit us, www.siouxlandlib.org, or give us a call. What's our number here downtown?
You can call us at 367-8720.
All right. Thanks, folks.
Thanks, Dan. And that does it this month for us here on City Scene. Don't forget, if you missed anything and want to catch up, all you need to do is head over to siouxfalls.org, or of course, you can find us on YouTube as well. Until then, we'll see you back here next month.